Is putting everyone and everything else before yourself really the best way to care for your patients? If you're wondering, or if you've been putting everyone and everything else first for years, then this podcast is for you. Hi, I'm Jen Barnes, and you're about to experience how to ditch the old ways of doing things and build resilience so you can feel better in your body, enjoy your life again, and maybe even love nursing again. Welcome to the Resilient Nurse Podcast. Is putting everyone and everything else before ourselves the best way to care for our patients? I think as healthcare professionals, we know that deep down, the answer is really no. We know that putting everyone else and everything else before ourselves is not the best way to care for our patients, let alone our loved ones and ourselves. I understand why you would think that, given the messages we've received as caretakers and caregivers throughout our lives. Messages that our workplaces strongly reinforce. But the thing is, that's like never charging your cell phone battery. And then when the battery dies, wondering, why isn't it working the same way? So, what do we do when our cell phone battery isn't working, when it's getting low or it dies? We charge it. And it tends to work the best when we charge it daily. So, how do we do this for ourselves? Well, the first step is that we need to release stuck stress from our bodies. When we're chronically stressed out, we end up chronically in our fight or flight response. And so those chemicals that help us fight or flee tend to get stuck in the body, especially if we're not actually fighting or fleeing like we would if a tiger was chasing us. And so, in order to feel better, we need to release that stuck energy. The best way to do this is through movement because that's what those chemicals are for. That's what the hormones and the neurotransmitters are for. And there's 6 other ways that we can complete the stress response and release those chemicals for our body. But for now, getting in movement 30 minutes a day is really essential. And so whether that's taking a lap around the nursing station, walking the stairs a few times on your lunch break, or even just going for a walk around the block on a break is so important. And so once we've completed the stress response and we've released that stuck stress, the next thing that's really important is that we learn how to regulate our nervous system. Resilience isn't just about being able to handle loads and loads more of stress. It's about being able to be faced with a stressful situation or something that our nervous system perceives as danger, being able to assess the situation and then return to that rest and digest state where it's safe enough to connect. And so there's specific ways we can do that through our body. There's ways that we can do that by working with our feelings instead of shoving them down. And there's even ways we can work on that through our mindset. One of my favorite ways to have us regulate into that ventral vagal state of feeling able to rest and digest is volcano breathing. And so, if you'd like, you're welcome to pause with me for a moment and you might place your hands in front of your heart and pressing your palms into each other. Maybe as you inhale, you could reach your arms overhead. And as you exhale, you could reach your arms down, around, back by your sides, and then back to center. And you might do that 2 more times. Maybe inhaling, you might reach up. And perhaps exhaling, you might reach your arms down and around, back by your sides, and back to center. Maybe 1 more time, perhaps inhaling, you might reach up. Maybe exhaling, you might reach your hands down and around by your sides and back to center. And you're welcome to do that as many times as you need. This is a great tool to use in your nursing huddles or between patients. It's something that is quick and easy, only takes like, what was that, 10 seconds, maybe 20 at most. And so it's a great tool to help us cue to our nervous systems that, oh, you know what? The threat is past. We're not in danger. We're safe enough to rest, digest, and connect. So, as we've learned to regulate our nervous system, the next thing we need to do is deal with the underlying stressors, those things that are contributing to or causing our stress in the first place. Because if we never deal with those, then the stress will just keep coming back, and we'll end up chronically in our fight or flight response, much like most of us has been for the past couple of years throughout the pandemic and beyond. And so it's important to recognize that there's different ways to do this, whether the things that are contributing to the stress are within our control or without our control. And so that's a really important piece. Things within our control, we can use something I call intentional problem solving or celebrating small wins or really working on boundaries and how we effectively set them in our healthcare organizations. If it's things that are outside of our control, there are other practices, my favorite of which is called radical acceptance. And so it's really important that we use these tools to help us address those underlying stressors so that we're not carrying that load and being loaded down day after day with the same stuff. Lastly, and pretty importantly, we need to make sure that we follow through. One of the biggest problems I see when people are trying to make change to feel better is that they struggle to get themselves to do it. Anyone who's been to the gym in January and then in March knows that that's true. And it's not that people who struggle with behavior change are lazy or don't care. It's that they don't have a strategic way to make sure that they're able to build the habit. They're not addressing or using their motivational tendency. They're usually not intentional about how they make the new behavior obvious or how they make it attractive or easy or satisfying. And most importantly, they're not usually connected to their deepest why. These are things that I love to share more deeply in my programs. And so the question is are you ready to stop putting everyone and everything before yourself? Do you want to keep feeling this bad? Do you want to keep putting everyone else before yourself? Or do you feel ready to put yourself first and learn real strategies to not only recover from the exhaustion you feel, but to actually build resilience and thrive and embrace your life going forward? If that's your answer to the question, then I invite you to follow the link below to sign up to be on the priority notification list for my upcoming rollout of the Resilient Nurse Program, where we'll talk about how to do all this and more to get you feeling better, probably the best you felt in years. Take care.